Hey guys, welcome back to
Real
Oh,
Scenario.
Rhonda got that birthday intro.
Hi.
We're back. We've been off for a few weeks.
That's that. I'm very happy to be back intro.
It is. Very happy to be back.
Hi,
I hope you guys
guys.
enjoyed our look back episodes to some of our earlier episodes. And we were like listening to them joints from the back in the day. We was like, oh, this
was good.
is good.
More people need to hear these if you haven't already heard them. They were great.
Exactly.
I enjoyed the look backs.
For sure.
But I'm also very happy to be back.
Yes, you are a year older.
Yes, I am a year older.
How are you feeling?
I feel great.
Feel great.
I feel great. I don't I think I probably felt 40 before the birthday. But yeah, I feel good. I have not had really ever this fear of getting older. That might change the older I get, but I feel good. I celebrated my birthday with people that I love. I had a great time. I went to Paris
Yes, you did.
for the first time. That was fun. The food, not so much, but I had a great time. Took some time off from the job.
Got to see Ursher.
Got to see Ursher, baby, which, whew, I would see that again and again. I would see that like 2 to 3
Rhonda
times.
said she wanted that Kiki treatment. Come
I
over here.
did. Unfortunately, I wasn't close enough to get the Kiki treatment. Nobody got the Kiki treatment actually in Paris. That wasn't kind of a part of the show where he walks through like that. But it was so good. It was so good. He is so talented. A Libra as well. You know how we do it.
What October? Or?
He's an October Libra.
Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
I think his birthday is coming up. Funny, I actually saw on Instagram this morning that I think it's his fiance or partner. I don't know what the status is. I just know they're together. Her birthday is today. She's a Libra too.
Okay.
So look at that. He know.
Libra gang.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
But yes, he's so talented. That is a hardworking man. The show was incredible. So I had a wonderful time. My birthday was great.
Awesome.
Great,
That's so
great,
good to
great.
hear.
Yes.
So good to hear. I'm just glad to be back here with you.
Yes. How was your time off? You traveled?
I did. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
It was Bree's birthday.
Went to Tulum for Bree's birthday.
Yes.
That was definitely an experience.
Gang.
Bree is a Libra as well. She's an October Libra. So I guess Libras have a special place in my heart, in my life.
Indeed.
So yeah, no, Tulum was great. It was a great time. Having some time away, always experiencing different cultures is always really cool.
Yeah.
Being in a different place is always cool, not only for experiencing fun, but just kind of to reset your mind and relax. Because that's something that I asked you when you came back, like, are you relaxed? Are you recharged?
Yes.
So it's always good to get that, and being in a different environment, a different space, a lot of times helps you to do that. And then out there, it's kind of like, things just feel more natural.
Yes.
So even if we had orange juice in the morning, it was like freshly squeezed orange juice from a real orange. But yeah, it was a great experience. So traveling, spent time with family, and now feel refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to end this year off in a, great manner with a bang.
I love it. It's so good. I think the time off was well served. Both for us to recharge and refresh, but also just like to disconnect. Sometimes I don't think we value that enough because we love being connected to everything, our phones, each other. But yes, it felt good to just shut it all off for a little bit.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. So we have a lot of things to discuss since we've been back. Woo. But I'll give the floor to you because we're going to start in one particular situation. So if you follow Rhonda on social media, and if you look at some of our videos and look through the comments, you'll see that there is a video posted. I won't even shout out the page.
No, we will not shout out the page or the name.
But as you know, a few episodes ago, we shared our real love scenarios. Rhonda shared hers, I shared mine. And we understand in this YouTube sphere of things on Al Gore's internet or Beyonce's, whichever you want to choose.
I like Beyonce.
Okay.
Al Gore is truly the creator, but I like B.
On Beyonce's internet, we understand that on YouTube, people do reaction videos and things like that. We understand when we put content out that people will respond to it and that we're opening that by putting it out publicly.
Sure.
But there was a page that decided to take Rhonda's real love scenario and make it a case study, I guess.
Yes, a couple times. I don't think I told you that. He broke it down twice. the long form, and then he did like a short form breakdown, which probably was just a clip out of that one.
Yeah.
And then I also made it to a compilation video. He loves me.
And I think it came from somewhere else, honestly, because when I was watching the video, I didn't feel like doing a deep dive, and he said he got the video from another page.
No.
So
okay,
it's making its rounds, I guess.
Hey y'all.
But I'll
made it.
I'll let Rhonda give her piece on what has happened.
Man, oh man. Well, I have a big smile on my face, and that is truly reflective of the fact that in jest, I do feel like I made it. I feel like when you can somehow find your way to a well-subscribed, well-attended YouTube page with a reaction, regardless of whether it was what I would have preferred or not, it is bringing additional eyes to the content, which we appreciate. Additional engagement, which even though, again, not necessarily what I would prefer, we appreciate. But in all seriousness, I said this on social media, and I just want to echo it here to our listeners, because I think it's valuable in general, right? Like when you decide to share any part of your life publicly, like put it up on a platform in front of more than just like people that you know and you trust and you love, you have to understand that everyone is just not going to vibe with it. Everyone is not going to get it. Everyone is not going to interpret it in the way that you intended for it to be interpreted. I knew that before sharing that portion of my life, trying to put in a very small form podcast the weight and the length and the nuances and the depth of that one relationship in my life is impossible.
Yeah.
I was with him for almost 5 years. And it should be stated, which I wouldn't think that I would have to state this, but it should be stated that out of the protection of just the love and respect that I have for him and myself and what we had together, I did not and will not share every little facet of our relationship, every little thing that played into what ultimately went to the end of our relationship. I will make it super clear, which I thought I did in the episode, but if I didn't, him and I are very, very friendly today. I don't use the word friend because we're not in regular communication, but I just spoke with him like just a few days ago. Our birthdays are just a few days apart. So we spoke on our birthdays, of course. We do have an immense amount of love and respect for each other. We both understand what part we played in our relationship, both good and bad. I take accountability for what I did. He takes accountability for what he did. Some of the things that happened after we broke up are in full response to bad decisions that were made, right? So again, there is no way that I can try to put that all into one episode, nor will I try.
Yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves is being misunderstood, but being on a platform, it has taught me that I just got to get over that because, again, everybody isn't going to get it. I love and appreciate those of you who do. I am thankful to the people who were brave enough to say it in the comments that they have been in my situation, that they understand it. I'm probably even more proud of the people who messaged me privately to share their feelings and their thoughts and understood where I was coming from. Some people even had follow-up questions, and I'm a very transparent person within reason, right? So thank you for those of you who vibe with it. To those of you who don't know me and took this as an opportunity to try to drag me or say bad things about me, not even necessarily the creator, because I'm not going to watch the video. Several of my friends have. Several of my friends are very mad. They want to ruin this person's life against my better judgment and my advisement. But for those of you that took this as an opportunity to be mean or nasty, I just can't get down in the mud with you. I can't, honestly, because it's not good for me. It's not good for my mental health. It's not good for the progress I've made in my life. And that's more of a reflection of who you are and less about who I am. And so, yeah, all I can say is F you. If you don't get it and you don't even care to get it, it's nothing I can do with that. I can't argue with that. I can't keep up with it. And this is also just a lesson, again, as I hate to use the word public figure, but someone that sits on a platform,
Yeah.
you have to thicken your skin, right? You have to. they killed Jesus. You know what I mean? He did absolutely nothing wrong. He literally lived a perfect life and they hated him for that. And so, of course, if I'm put out there mistakes that I've made or bad decisions I've made, people are going to be like, oh, she's evil. She's mean. She hurt that man. He's a simp. Blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, okay, if you're committed to misunderstanding me, it's nothing I could do about it. So thank you all for your love and support. For those of you that have reported the page and all the things and dropped some comments over there, I appreciate the love because I know that it comes from a place of love for me. So thank you. Thank you.
I think that was very well said.
Thank you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think that it's unfortunate because we were talking earlier and I said, like, you know, if you take a check or a grade book and look at every single facet of every single person's life, we'll all come out looking crazy, right?
Yeah.
And to take what was a transparent and open conversation with you just sharing your experience. I don't think once during that episode you said, I did this right and I don't, you know, and I did this. It was like, this is just what happened.
Yeah.
These are the things I learned. These are the things I took away from it. And like you said, it's natural if you put it out for people to comment and give their opinion and give their thoughts. What I don't like is when you have this group of men who act as if only if women were to get it together, then the world would be great because we're doing everything right. We're not doing anything wrong. Sure. And if they would just, you should take this as a lesson that if this woman would have did this or would have did that, then everything would have worked out for her in her life.
Crazy.
And it's just crazy that you have people that have that mindset because there is a group of people, I know men personally, people that I've disconnected from and can't get with in the sense that they feel because they have a great job, they make a little money, you know, have a nice car, that people should be worshiping them.
Yes.
At their feet, bowing down, saying, thank you. I appreciate you. You are everything and should be held as a God that you are.
Yeah, that you are not.
That you think you are.
Yes.
And if a woman doesn't treat them in that way, then they feel that women are tripping.
Yeah.
Because all these other guys out here are, you know, cheating and they you want to mess with Tyrone and Pookie and Mookie.
Why
and
Pookie
all these
keep catching a bad rap?
Pookie, there's a Pookie out there who's working a great job. Got great credit. Is a good man, and he like, well, I'm always in this.
I'm always in this. My middle school boyfriend's name was Pookie, but that was his nickname, of course.
That reminded me of the Karens who actually name was Karen before the Karen epidemic happened.
Yep.
They probably like, damn, come on. I go by K. KK. That's me.
It's my old name. Just don't call me that no more.
But it just bugs me. I think when it comes to relationships, we all have a part to play.
Yes.
And you know, both men and women. And a lot of times, you know, for every fault that we can say women do this, women could look at men and be like, men do this.
Yes, of course.
So it's just unfair to characterize things in that way as like, see, I told you this how women be. This what women do. This how women act. And I'll get down with that. And it's like, you know, I understand, like I said, there's the reactions. I did watch the video. Even though I'm not happy that the video happened, the host was at least respectful in the sense of not calling you out your name or anything like that. But the comments, those people, like the nastiness of the Twitter fingers that people have hiding behind these platforms is just crazy.
Absolutely. And these are people that in general probably would never ever say these things out loud to a person. They find their courage and their bravery in the digital space.
For sure.
Yeah. Like you would never talk to me that way. Most of you would not. And saying that I'm 40 is not a slight to me.
No.
Saying that I am single, also not a slight to me. Saying that I want marriage, also not a slight to me. All of these things are true. I am 40. I am single. I do want marriage and I am hopeful for that. It's not a slight, y'all. It's really, that doesn't hurt me.
That's the craziest thing about it. And I don't want to go too long on it, but that's the crazy thing about it is like, all right, all these things, I'm, like you said, I'm 40, I'm single. Yes, I want marriage. Yeah. Also certain things that I said in my scenario that I said I would have probably did better. Yeah, I would have did better. You can point it out again that
That I said, yep, I already did that, but thank you.
Yeah, I would have did it. If I'm evaluating different portions of my life, just the same with my scenario. I talked about how I treated my ex and all these different things that I did. If I were to go back, I would do it again.
Yes.
I was wrong. But if you say, oh, he's selfish and he's this, in those moments, yes, I agree. What are we talking about?
What are we saying here?
What's the point?
Right. You just using my content to run up yours. On something I already said, though. Like, you did not dissect or introduce any new concepts. It's just foolishness. These things don't serve as slights to me, especially because I live in a world where 40-somethings, 50-somethings are getting married. They are finding love. They're finding partnership, even if it's not through marriage. They're having babies. They're creating families. Anybody that wants to push a message that that's not happening is committed to negativity. And I am, just like you are, just like this platform is, and just like this network is, about solutions. It is about how to bring us closer. It is about how to have healthy, happy relationships with people, but also with yourself. And I like me. And I say that a lot. And it's not to be arrogant or obsessed with myself, because I'm not. But I love myself enough to not let people who literally don't know me make me see me differently. Hell no. So I'm going to get what I'm looking for because I'm asking God for it. And I've used the mistakes of my past to make me a better person. I'm always going to rise above it. I just can't do it because, y'all, if I get dirty, it's going to be bad. Dre gonna have to be like, Rhonda, listen, you taking the brand down because you're out here talking about that baby daddy. You out here talking about that boy's mama and they ain't got nothing to do with it, okay? So, nah, y'all, I believe, and nobody's gonna be able to take that away from me, that I'm going to have the love of my life. And honestly, I'm the love of my life for now until God brings me the man for me. So,
you know what's very interesting to me about stuff like that, though, is that because even Brie and I dealt with it when it came to like the waiting for marriage thing. It's like, all right, Christian community, very heavy. Like, you should do this, you should do that. But us living together and waiting for marriage was somehow worse than us living separately, but probably still doing it.
Yep.
That was somehow worse. And I feel like with this situation, it's like, all right, you were with Mr. Mature for how long?
4.5 years.
4.5 years, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it will almost be, people will look at it better if you actually got married at that time. It's like, oh, she was married before and then you got divorced and now you're looking for your next marriage because it's like, oh, at least you found a husband.
Right.
Versus like, it could have been the same relationship, basically, but because marriage was added to it, then it has a different perspective on it. Versus you not being married, then it's like, you gone this long, ain't never found a husband, nothing like that. But knowing your relationship that you had with him, it would have been probably very much the same of a relationship.
Very much so.
If you guys were actually married.
Actually got married.
Or not.
Yeah. It even people who thought we were married, people like one of the videos was like wives who something. I'm like, I was not his wife.
No, there's comments like, and she married that man. And it's like
the comprehension, like no shade, but shade. I can't even argue with you all because you don't comprehend well. You aren't good listeners. Like you listen
to respond.
You listen to respond. You listen with your own projections, which is something I'm really going to talk about when we get into our real life love scenario, because it's crazy how these things to me are they're so parallel. They're so parallel.
I gotta say a few more things. Number one is that the last thing on this is that for anybody who's in this space or you deal with people, you put things out there. The way I started to look at it was a few different things. Number one is that I love when people write paragraphs because it's like, dang, you took like 2 hours to probably craft this and I can just delete it and it's just gone. Like you just took all this time to really like craft.
Totally not what I thought you were about to say. You did all of that and I could just boop,
and it just never existed.
Get it out of here.
You can't even copy. It's done.
It's gone.
And then if I wanted to, I could block you and then you could never show up here again. So I don't even get the point of like saying negative stuff if I can just
get it out of here.
Just in a second.
Yeah.
And then also for people in this space, the way I look at it is I look at it as, especially those pages that you could tell aren't real people. It's just a fake person.
Yeah.
How would you feel if I told you Santa Claus said something mean about you? You'd be like,
who?
What's
Santa?
Nigga with the elves and the reindeer? He's not even real.
He's not even real.
That's
guys.
how you gotta look at these people comment on social media. whose picture is, I don't know, Twizzlers or like a vending machine or something. It's not a real person.
Yeah, I had a guy attack me on multiple posts. His photo was a plate of food. I was like,
that's not a person.
Oh, okay.
That's not even real.
Oh, you're not even brave enough to show your face. Why would I argue with you? Stop it.
Not a real person. So yeah, don't worry about that. But that's part of being in this space, and we understand that.
Yes.
And luckily, we're at the level of maturity to where we're just like, we ain't worry about that.
No. Call me when somebody I care about say something about me, please.
Exactly. And we've been in situations to where we've heard true critiques that are like actual, like informative, actual. You can see there's grace in that and trying to understand both perspective, but offering their perspective as well versus just total being mean.
And you know what, we
nasty.
see that all the time, Dre? Right here on Real Love Scenario.
For sure.
Because that's who we are.
That's what we do. Setting the example.
I'm telling you, I love it here.
Few more things. So speaking of our real lovers, because you know I like to go into our real lover review. Guess what?
What?
We got our first event. Hey. We got our first event for Relationship Restored. Hey. I'm so happy to announce.
Told y'all to keep tuning in. It was coming.
It was coming. It was coming. Here. I'm so happy to announce that we're having our first event in partnership with the Line Hotel at DC. It's going to be November 9th.
Yes.
That is a Thursday, so you know it's a little
happy hour vibe,
little happy hour
Friday
vibe.
Eve vibe.
So we're gonna have a live podcast that we're gonna do from around 6:30 to 7:30. On the Eventbrite, you'll have an option to choose to be a part of like a raffle to be a part of the show because we want to make it inclusive with our real lovers. So you can come on and ask a question, or maybe we'll ask you a question, or maybe we'll do a real love, real lame. We'll do a lot of different things that we could do. So we want you to come for that. But then after that, we have like a connection event. So it's just going to be fun, good music, good vibes, food, drinks, and some games too. And we're just going to have fun. We want everybody to connect. It's called Unplugged Connections. So like Rhonda said earlier, it's always good to unplug from your device, unplug from your everyday life, unplug from your struggles, and just connect with really dope people. I'm excited because we had this idea of like, you know, each table having a subject and you can go to each table and whether that be travel, restaurants, favorite food, that it's a conversation starter that you can have with different people there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The venue is like,
oh my gosh, it's
stunning.
It's so nice. Pretty.
And it's in Washington,
I don't know if I'm going to leave after. I'm going to just see if I can. I mean, I'm trying to live in the space where we have in the spot because it's so stunning.
It is so
I cannot
stunning.
stop looking at the pictures.
It is really, really nice. So we're excited to do that. Make sure you go to the Relationship Restored. You can go to the site and you'll see the link to the link to the event there. Or you can go on the social media page at Relationship Restored and you'll be able to click the link in bio and get your ticket.
That's right.
And it's free.
It is free. I was about to say, tell them how much it costs, Dre.
It's free.
That's how much we love you.
That's how much.
You see that? First event, free 99.
Free 99.
You have no excuse.
At a beautiful venue, great connections, and invite everybody you want to invite.
Please.
Bring people out.
That's right. It's plenty of space. It's plenty of time. And you're going to get to spend time with all of us, not just Dre and I, but the entire Relationship Restored network for the girls. It's going to be so good.
For sure.
Woo.
I'm so happy about it.
How could I be mad? How could I be mad about anything when God is doing all this elevation in my life, in our lives? Man, y'all better come on out on November 9th.
Come on out. And make sure to, Brie and I brought Worth the Wait back. So make sure to go check that out too. That's just me and my wife just talking about different things that we've gone through. It's a little bite-sized podcast, so it's maybe like 15 minutes per episode, but just giving little insights, answering certain questions that people have asked us just about marriage. When you get married, is it harder? Like different stuff like that.
Yes.
And it's been a great experience for us, and it's almost been therapeutic because we've learned things about each other while recording videos, and it's like, I didn't even know that. And it's so crazy how you can learn so much about yourself and your partner still 5 years into a relationship.
You'll never stop learning.
For sure. I want to do our real lover shout out. This is for Ashley 524.
Hey Ashley.
The review says insightful and helpful. Just discovered this podcast and I truly love the host. As a single woman who's raising a little boy and has dabbled here and there in dating, I love their perspectives, the guests, and the topics. Thank you for your honesty, vulnerability, and openness.
you.
I appreciate
Thank you for your
you.
support and for listening and for your review. We so appreciate that.
For sure. And then I'm going to read one more just because what we talked about. As you guys know, this is our first week back in a while.
Yeah,
we never took a break.
Sit down, get yourself something to drink.
It's just, we got to knock all the housekeeping stuff
That's
out.
right.
We've been gone for a while, but I want to do this just because of what we talked about. This is from A Gemini.
Okay.
Just keeps on giving. This week's episode was too good. Rhonda is definitely that first cousin on your mama's side that also happens to be the first girl, so her experience and stories hit different, making you appreciate that wisdom on life. I love the ability to relate as a listener and the level of vulnerability and honesty you both contribute. Deep sigh. I am so grateful for the podcast and the genuine friendships between the hosts. Love y'all for real.
Oh, love you for real. A Gemini that's what I focus on. Like, that is what gets me choked up. That is what warms my heart. That's what I care about. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. For sure.
That's the real love of love.
That's the real love of love. That's what's always going to tug on my heartstrings. Like, I love you too. Okay, you keep watching and you tell everybody you know about it. Okay.
Awesome. So make sure y'all come to that event. I want to see y'all all there. We want to pack the house. Getting a little choked up.
Just a little bit.
Let's talk about our real life love scenario. So
let me.
Let's get prepared.
Jesus, get the blanket, Dre.
Hello. This I'm gonna talk about my cousins, the Smiths, because I'm a Smith.
In them people's house.
I'm a Smith. I was in their house. I sat at the red table.
You did.
Talked to Jada, talked to Gammy. And Jada has been making news, and I have a perspective on this that I probably isn't. I wouldn't say popular, but is definitely probably different than the masses. But as we know, Jada is releasing a book now, and she's going on a book tour, which we see all the time. When people are promoting something, people go on the media runs, and you see them on all these different platforms, right? And I think this is something, besides being on her platform, Red Table Talk has been the first time she's done anything like this in a while, right?
Yep.
So a lot of times when you do these media runs, I believe that you have all these questions that media has built up from the years of everything that they're like, all right, outside of your platform, I want to ask this. And she's gone on different platforms, some, media type platforms, but others like journalistic type platforms. And those questions vary as far as like how they get to the meat, what they want to get to. But anyways, Jada's gone out and said a lot of different things.
Yes.
She has says that her and Will have been separated for, I think,
7 years.
7 years.
Yep.
She also said that in the situation when it came to the Chris Rock and Will Smith thing, that she had no idea Will was going to do that or why he did that, that he hadn't heard him call her his wife in years. And she was very confused by the situation. There's other things to where she talked about how Chris Rock had asked her on a date previously.
Yes.
There were things that she had talked about with her relationship with Tupac.
Yes.
And all this is stuff that she has in this book.
Yep.
So I know I have my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts first on the whole Jada situation, her transparency, her telling, the things that she's sharing with the world today.
I have so much to say about this, but we don't have time for all of that. So I'm just just wink at me if I'm taking too long.
You want to play the music?
Yeah, just hit me with something, okay? Because I just have so much to say about it. And crazy enough, I originally didn't think I would. Like her, I follow Jada on Instagram. Like I follow Will as well. I was an avid watcher of Red Table Talk, and I found it to be very helpful to me and obviously to others. And so I knew about the book. I knew it was coming. I expected what happens when people write books or put projects in the air. They go on tours, whether that's a movie, when you start to see an actor on all the shows because they're promoting their product. So I didn't think that it would be this big of a deal that we would see her in the press a lot while she's promoting it. I also expected, seeing as though she hasn't wrote a book in a long time. This is her second book, but it's been like 20 years since the first one. She has become a mother in that time. One time she was already a parent with the first book, but she has then had 20 years of living, 20 years of a marriage on top of the last writing. And I'm like, I expected there to be a lot of things in the book that are not necessarily like perfect or beautiful. And who wants that, right? Like, that's just not real. And I feel like we struggle, y'all, because not really me, you all, lots of you all out there struggle with people's lives not being perfect, as if you are living a perfect life. Of course, there are things in the book about missteps and maybe bad decisions, but there's also just experiences in the book, like you talked about with my story. She just telling you what happened. She's just telling you what she experienced. She's telling you what she experienced with her friend, Tupac. She's telling you what she experienced with her husband. I'm sure she's also telling you a lot of things that you only can see or read inside of the book. I just don't get all of the hatred for it, and particularly in juxtaposition to this coming after her husband wrote his memoir. I didn't hear it. I didn't read it, but I've learned a lot about it just by reading online. I could pick it up. I could pick up what he was putting down. Will talked a lot about some of these very things in his book. He talked about his personality. He talked about how he's performed majority of his life. He's talked about how he has been very controlling in his marriage and how it started to have a negative impact on it. He talked about the fact that they have not had a conventional marriage for a very long time. He talked about the fact that Jada never wanted to get married, that she cried on the wedding day, not because she was emotional, because of getting like happy emotions. She was miserable. She cried coming down the aisle because she did not want to get married. There have been so many things about this that came out long before she even opened her mouth about it. And shout out to Jessie Wu, because she did a breakdown on this, and I'm just going to echo some of these sentiments. The Smiths in some ways have shared certain things, but in many ways have addressed certain things that were shared without their permission, that were shared because somebody else decided to talk about it. Even down to the design of their marriage. A lot of that has been addressed because so much has been put out there, rumors and people saying certain things. Even the whole entanglement red table talk was a addressing of something.
Yeah.
August went and sat and shared his perspective from his relationship with her, and they found it necessary to address it. And people forget, because time goes on and this ain't your life, so you're not gonna remember it all, that Jada was being called a groomer. She was being called manipulative for dating him. She was being called lots of really, really bad words because of August's relationship with her son, but also because of the age difference. And so when someone is not just saying, oh, you had an affair with this man, they're saying that you groomed him, that you used his illness, you used all of these things that you knew about him that were not good to manipulate him into a relationship with you. It's just some things you're not going to stand and just let them blow by. Stop comparing her sharing with Beyonce being quiet. It's not the same. Beyonce's never been accused of grooming someone and having an affair with them by way of grooming them. So it's not the same. I just wish that we would do a little more research before we start talking about things. I wish that you all would go and realize that saying Will Smith has not talked, it's not true. He wrote a whole book and he did a press tour just like she's doing now. Most notably, his interview in GQ. And it's the last thing I'm going to say before I toss it to you, where he said that how they operate in their marriage and how they have for years is in a space of freedom. They allow each other to do what they want to do. And that's up for us, I guess, to interpret what that means. But most notably, he defined it as the highest definition of love. This is what he said about his own marriage to his own wife. It's really not up for us to try to make it make sense. If it's not something you would do, cool. You're not married to her. You're not married to him. It's really none of our business how they do things. But if these two people have continued to be together for almost 3 decades when they don't have to be, they could walk away. That says a lot about what they are trying to do. And I'm just not into making either of them bad guys. I'm not here to make her a bad guy. I'm not here to make him a bad guy. I think they are doing what we all do. And that's just figuring it out day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. Stop dragging that lady the way y'all doing it. I can't understand it. I can't. So that's my 2.5 cents.
It's crazy how aligned we are on that. We are very, very aligned. We understand. We understand. We understand because, I mean, number one, I agree with everything that you said. A lot of people talk stuff about people that they never met or never interacted with. Although my interaction with her was very brief, she was very sweet, very nice, very kind. I think that, of course, with what you said, that they were addressing a lot of things that we have to understand in interviews. There's a difference between somebody just randomly bringing something up versus somebody being asked a question.
Yep.
Or referencing something that's in the book and asking a question and you answering that question.
Yeah.
It's like, why you keep talking about it? Somebody asked me.
Damn.
It's not like I didn't see anything with Jada on Instagram Live saying like, let me tell y'all everything that's going on. It's like somebody asked me a question. I answered the question. That's how media works. And like I said, with her not doing something like this on other platforms for a very long time, there are a lot of things that people have questions about and want to follow up on.
Sure.
And especially because Jada makes headlines, Jada makes news, they want to ask the clickbaity questions. What was this? What was that? And then the titles, that's one thing I need people to understand too. In media, they control the titles, and this media is an age-old business. Like newspapers, for instance, have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And titles were always the things that capture people's attention. And we realize, especially in this social media age, that people just read titles and don't actually read the articles or don't actually even listen to the clips. They just read the titles and take the titles for exactly what that means. We had talked about that with your video, with what was posted. And it's just like, you have to dig a little deeper and actually see what's going on. And that's what you were explaining. Like, this is, if you look at any marriage or any couple that's been together for that long, they've gone through some things.
Sure.
And then if you take into account the lives that normal celebrities live, that's one thing. Jada and Will, that's a whole nother level of celebrity.
Another level.
And you can't imagine all the different layers on top of that come into being in a relationship like that. And you have to understand that there are some things that they are just trying to figure out. Like, they were so young at that time, like trying to navigate that space, like just being single and navigating celebrity and entertainment and media. Being on your own and being single is tough. Trying to do that in a marriage and trying to figure out, and then having kids in that space and trying to figure out how to navigate that. It's hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard. I can't even fathom how hard it is because I never experienced it. I haven't been in a 28-year marriage and had three children, one by, previous relationship, but I never been there. So for me to be like, it's like, have you walked in their shoes?
And then to also have a partner who is wildly more popular probably than you are as a figure. So no matter what you do, the public probably will always take your partner's side just because that person is more popular, more well-loved, more attached to their childhood and their memories, whether that's with Fresh Prince or the Men in Blacks or like all these different things that you attach, or the rapping. Parents just don't understand. Like, this Will is attached to a lot of our childhoods, and that ranges for a lot of ages.
Absolutely.
A lot of ages. Like, my mom, grandma know Will just from a different lens, as well as, I do, or even some of my younger cousins do from different things, right?
Yes.
So it's like, it's hard to also be in that situation. So like the Chris Rock thing, for Jada to say, I didn't know what was going on or what was happening, the assumption is like, nah,
you knew. You pushed him to it. You made the face. You basically told him with your eyeballs, you better do something about it. It's just the way that people hear things and interpret things because it satisfies you. It satisfies you to say that that's what she was doing. But we refuse to sometimes believe what people are saying. I will say the one thing that was just a little weird to me is that she said she was shocked to hear him call her his wife. When you're at a public function, this is something that you all are showing up as spouses. We don't know anything differently. We don't know what's happening in your lives. So it's like, I thought that was just like, okay. I'm not saying she's not right or she's lying. I just was like, well, what else would he have called you?
Yeah. I think maybe just the whole thing was just kind of
It was just like she said, I wasn't there. When she says that, she means like mentally, I was like, whoa, wait,
yeah.
what's going on?
Because I
Wait
think
a
still
minute.
everybody thought maybe this is a skit or this is a
Right.
thing, but
Several
she's
people
probably
thought
the first one who knew, like,
Oh,
this real. Besides her and Chris, they were the first ones to know, like, this ain't a joke. Like, this is real. Everybody else is kind of just confused. Like, do we clap?
What is happening? The writers are really getting crafty this year.
Right? That looked real. It was like he slapped the crowd. Like that.
Sending this through the moon. Right. Oh no, this is not a joke.
It took a while for people to understand that it was a thing, but her and Chris knew at that moment before anybody, and Will, of course, that this is a thing that's really happening. Say all that to say is that, man, you just gotta give people grace and really truly evaluate the situation. I don't get mad at people for answering questions that they're asked, especially if they're promoting something or doing something, because we always want transparency, right? Why people say, I like Rihanna instead of Beyonce because we know more of her life and Beyonce don't share nothing. But then if you share too much, all right, we heard enough.
Shut up. We want you to close your mouth.
We keep hearing this? Like, it's like, it's trying to find that balance. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
As my friend Ty said, you could just scroll past things you don't want to see.
Exactly.
You can.
And the thing is that with Red Table Talk, which a lot of this, I guess, has stemmed from with the exhaustion, I guess, of her sharing things, is that it's a lot of people, if you consume me or Jada or anybody in this space who shows up on a weekly basis or even do radio on a daily basis, if you only consume me through clips and headlines, then there might be some exhaustion because the only things you're seeing are jarring things.
That's right.
But it's like, oh no, I have a show that comes out every week. And the topics that we discuss and the things that we talked about truly impact people's lives, truly go deep. Like Red Table Talk was a platform that really dug deep into things and uncovered a lot of things. Like I said, I was on an episode of it. Bree and I shared our story, but there was another couple, Justin and Shayla, who I think that's her name, Justin and Shay, and him talking about the experience of like how his mom chose the boyfriend over him, and like all these are real experiences that people go through, and this platform is sharing that. But it's like, forget about all that.
Forget about all of that.
Forget about all that.
All that.
Jada's
evil. And that's what I would prefer to focus on.
And it's like, I don't think it's fair. I know that there's exhaustion, but just think about why you feel like there is any exhaustion. And truly look at it as like, how many times, all right, even if it was once every 3 months you heard something, that's not a lot.
It's not. It's not. And again, you can control what you see and hear. You could turn it off. You don't have to connect to media if you don't want to. You can disconnect social media. You can not watch television. You can stay off the news channels where these types of things, you can control it. You don't have to read her book. You have to buy her book, but you can't exactly be mad at someone choosing to do something for themselves that is likely very cathartic. Sharing is cathartic. It's helpful to lots of people. It's helpful to me. You get upset when someone decides to talk about their lives, and I just think that's weird, because why? If she wants to talk about her life, that's her choice, and she has the freedom to do that, and the people that want to rock with it are going to rock with it. I just looked on Amazon. There's like almost 5,000 reviews of that book. And that's just on Amazon. So somebody wanted to hear her story. Somebody is identifying with this story. Somebody is getting something out of this, whether it's because they have walked similar path, or because they want to learn what it's like as they get ready to walk into a certain path. Like, let people share, and let those who want to enjoy it, indulge it. And if you don't, it's no need to get nasty about it. It's really no need. And like I said about my own scenario, if they shared what they did share, if I shared and said what I did say, imagine what I didn't say. Imagine the parts of the story that you don't know and you'll never know because of protection and love and respect of what they have. I don't sit here and think that we're learning every single thing about Will and Jada, not by a long shot.
People acting like they put money in that investment and they losing money because the stock dropping or something like that. If you did that and you got equity in the relationship, then by any means share. Go ahead, share everything you feel about it. But yeah, why you care?
Why you just mad about it? I care, and I'm appreciative to people who share their stories.
Yeah,
I learn a lot listening to people's stories. I enjoy that, even things that I don't identify with, even things that I would never do. Remember I told you about Moneybag on Angie
Oh, yeah,
Martinez?
Andrew.
I don't understand Moneybag's life technically, but I learned so much about him. And I was like, wow, just watching his maturity is like, it's a beautiful thing as a man, as a father, and nothing about his life is parallel to mine.
No.
But I'm thankful that he shared his story.
For sure.
Simple.
Awesome.
Praying for the Smiths.
Praying for my
Praying
cousins.
for the Smiths. Okay. We sending you lots of love and healing energy.
For sure. All right, you ready to get into our real love scenario?
I am.
This one's a short one.
It is.
It's a doozy.
Yeah, but it's a doozy. It's a banger.
Yeah.
All right. We ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. We hear from Sherry, not anonymous. She says, my boyfriend of 2.5 years wants me to lose weight. He hates my big arms and tells me that he cannot see having a future with me if I don't fix it, and it hurts my feelings. We have a great relationship otherwise. I've been trying hard to get the body he wants, but it's very difficult. I'm 50 years old and experiencing menopause. Should I cut my losses and move on? And will I ever be good enough for him? Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Sharon Sherry.
Ooh.
This is a sensitive one.
It is.
This has got multiple sensitivities in it. Dre, where would you like to start?
I'm about to ask you where you want to start.
Maybe just because this is a difficult conversation.
Yes.
Right. It's so I think we just should start with how to deal with that, how to approach it. If you ever been on the receiving end of it, if you ever had to give it, just how to have difficult conversations and relationships. Maybe we start there because I feel bad for her and him a little bit.
Okay, so you feel bad for both sides.
Yes, I do. Of course.
Got you. Difficult conversations and relationships. I think that it starts with everything else outside of the difficult conversations. I always tell people that is that what really will get you through the difficult times is not how you act in the difficult times. It's the structure that you've built for your relationship to withstand that storm. That is the difference. What equity do you have built up? What trust do you have built up? What foundation have you built so that when these winds come, you're not wavering? Because the relationships that fall apart in situations like this are the ones that were never truly stable in the beginning. So they believe that this would lead to something else, or when you say this, you really mean something different, or they're bringing up something in the past that they already resented you for that adds to this or add to that, and they can't even truly hear you because they're mad about other things that have happened in the relationship. But the thing that I know that's been great for Brie and I is that we have equity built up and we built our relationship on something strong. So when we go through the things, it's like, is this a good man? Is this a good woman?
Yes.
Let me look back at the relationship. Does this person love me? Okay, so even though I feel hurt, everything has shown me that they didn't purposely do this or they weren't trying to do this.
Yes.
Let me see. All right. A lot of times this person has mostly told me the truth. So even though this hurts, if they're saying this, it maybe is some truth to it or something that they're evaluating. So it's like the points of your having these difficult conversations is less about, I mean, you want to be tactful in the way that you communicate it.
Yes.
So we always talk about effective communication and making sure that effective communication is communication that somebody actually receives, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that somebody receives it. That may mean learning the timing of when to deliver it, learning the place in which to deliver it, understanding how to deliver it. All those things are important when having difficult conversations. But there are certain conversations that people need to understand that won't result in a good feeling. I don't care how you package it.
Nope.
How you say it, when you say it, is not going to feel good. And you have to understand that happens sometimes, but the way that you operate in your relationship on an everyday basis will help you to get through those things.
Yes, 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 yes. It is everything you said 2 times over, and telling someone that you are not pleased with their weight, even if you say it nicely and you package it a certain way and you have that equity built up, it is extremely sensitive, and 9 times out of 10, it's still going to hurt. So I would say more than anything, do your very best to package it as well as you can, but also know that it's going to be hurtful. It is going to sting woman, man, it doesn't matter. It's going to sting because one, it's likely something that the person already knows about themselves. Is something that they probably already struggle with, or something they can't figure out how to get under control to begin with. I think it's rare that a person feels fully okay with themselves and then someone says it to them and then they're like shocked by it. I think most of the time, and I think about my own struggles with weight, if my partner said to me, I think that you should lose some weight, or I'm concerned about your weight, or I'm not as attracted, however he would word it, of course it would sting doubly because I already have these own thoughts about myself, right? So I do think tact and how you handle your person matters. But to me, the best part about what you said is that relationship equity. It is being able to receive difficult conversations from someone that you know really means you well, that is really in it with you. They are supportive to you and they're not trying to say anything to harm you. And I think we all have to deal with the reality of your physical attraction is important to your partner. It is. It doesn't matter to me what anybody else really thinks about how I look other than that person, because I'm not a model. So it's not like I earn money in that way. So I don't care about it from that perspective. I care about what my man thinks about how I look. I'm not going to be one of those women that's going to sit here and make it seem like he shouldn't care, or it should not matter. It matters. If we both care 9 times out of 10, because our relationship has a physical component to it. It just does. So I think we have to be open to receiving it, especially when it's done tactfully and when there's equity. It's going to hurt though. Of course it's going to hurt.
I'm glad you said that it matters.
Yes.
Because I think that, so obviously, before I say this, understand here on this platform, everybody who watches us, listens every week, understands that we're not this salacious, clickbaity, type of platform where we're having these conversations. But I think it's important to note that I think there's a difference in men being critical of women and women being critical of men, and that standard and the comfortability with it. Like, it's like, I feel like for men, we a lot of times take a lot of criticism and we're supposed to act as if it's just like
rolling off.
Yeah. Or there is no defense for criticism of men, especially physical criticism, whether that's somebody being short, whether that is a guy having a belly, whether that is a man not having the right package that you want, the size package that you want.
Right.
Like, all these things are things that women freely and openly criticize and tell men aren't acceptable, and that they would never date somebody who's like this.
Don't forget the headlines.
And there is no like movement or backlash about saying these things, right? But the moment a man may say something about a woman's weight, then it's body shaming, right?
Yes.
It's saying that, you shouldn't talk to her that way, and she's beautiful in her own skin. All these things are true, right? Yeah. And it's not, well, I wouldn't say the body shaming thing is true depending on how you bring it up. I think people just openly being nasty to people is wrong.
Yes.
Like, you just sharing and just unsolicited saying something about somebody's appearance just in general that's negative is just not nice at all. Yeah. But I think there's a standard that women can freely say whatever about men, but the time men say it, then it becomes an ultra sensitive topic.
Yes.
I have a friend of mine who we were out, and I was standing next to another friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh, when you're standing next to him, you're a lot taller than what I thought. I always thought you were like short." And it's like, I just, was like, oh, whatever. Like, and I've been hearing short all my life, whatever. And I didn't think nothing of it because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
But imagine that same situation if I'm talking about weight with a woman. Like, you then stand next to her, you look skinnier than what I thought. I thought you were a lot fatter. It would be like, what? Like, that sounds rude. That sounds mean. Yeah. That sounds, and it's like, that's what we see as men in a lot of life, is that we're criticized for our appearance and not having this together. If we don't have money, if we don't have like super criticized, and it's like, these are things that men are supposed to do. And it's like, if you're going off of the traditional sense of what men are supposed to do, then if we're supposed to provide, be security, be strong, all this stuff like that, the traditional sense of women is a standard of beauty, childbirthing, all these different things. But if you're critiqued on that traditional standard, then a lot of men,
really
now it's like, oh, I have an issue. So I think that it's important what you said, that it does matter.
Yes.
And I think how it factors into weight specifically is, number one, is that there is a standard for where you started. I think fat or big is objective.
Surely.
Right? It's like, where did you start when I met you and I found you attractive? I don't think you should vary too far off from that point.
Yes, I agree.
That's why I feel like the standard is, it shouldn't be you started as somebody who's a little thicker and now I want you to be super slim and petite. And it's like, I was never, that's not even in my makeup, but that's not even my genetics. I'm trying to see my mom, I'll show you my aunt. Like, I can't even get there. Like, it's not possible. And I think that that's unrealistic for you to ask of somebody. But if you're saying like, hey, you were here when we first met and I see your behaviors, like you're not active, you kind of just eat whatever you want to. Like, I just want you to get back. A lot of times that's what people are saying to, like, I just want you to get back to kind of like where you were.
Yes.
Like, I'm not asking you to do nothing crazy, but just, you know, I feel like you're letting yourself go a little bit. And I see that in relationships when people get comfortable. I also see that in relationships, and this is both men and women, when people start to age, because your metabolism, at one point you could eat a certain way and the weight would just go off. But then as you get older, you'd be like, oh, this thing's sticking on a little bit. Like, and I ain't used to
peanut butter.
I ain't never had to work out. I ain't never had to be active. I ain't never had to watch what I eat. But now I'm 35. It's sticking a little different than when I was like 27. So that's a new thing too that people are trying to figure out. So I'm being single and being in a relationship, I understand all this. I have a wife. I don't care what age, what body type. If you are with a woman in a relationship, you're going to hear some type of like, you know, I'm not happy about this, or I wish this was kind of like this. I've been with petite women who still have the same critiques of their bodies in different ways. Like, I wish this was kind of like here.
And
this,
a little more hip, or a little thicker thigh, or a little bigger butt. It just,
it's always an internal critique. So I understand the mindset of women and how that feels, and I understand the approach that you need to have. I understand that you guys know a lot of times, like, you know, before anybody even tells you what the thing is. And I think that a lot of times when men bring it up in a relationship, especially somebody who loves you, is not necessarily about where you are, but the efforts that they feel like you're taking to get to a better place.
That's it. And I think the other part about when I say it matters in the dynamic of a relationship. What the visceral nastiness of society attacking what people look like is problematic. That is problematic. And when you think about that, I would say that matters less. It really doesn't matter. You're not dating me. You're not with me. So your thoughts about if I'm too big, too small, matters none. But yes, within the confines of a relationship, of course it matters, because like I said, you have probably a pretty big and healthy physical component to your relationship. So I think we have to make room for it. I don't think it's smart for anybody to never have space to receive difficult communication from your partner. Like, it's not always going to be roses and sweet and perfect. They're not always going to be happy with everything that you do or say or how you look or anything like that. Let's just be more real about that. Like, we have to live in reality and stop living in the delusions. No different than, like you said, it's probably unlikely that a woman doesn't already know this about herself. It's no different than a man. He knows he's short. He knows that his hairline is struggling, and he may struggle with that. It's not just very cavalier to joke it, especially again, when this is your person, this is your partner. You are there to be their accountability partner, but you're also there to protect them from you being harmful to them. It's not just to protect them from others. So it is a way to do it. It is a way to have the conversation and be honest about it. And of course, like, I want you. When I set my eyes upon you, not just my heart, like my heart wants you. And this is when we conflate these two things. When you start to be like, oh, well, if he doesn't like how I physically look, does that mean he doesn't love me? No, he absolutely, probably, I'm sure, loves you. His heart wants you. His soul wants you. How you feed his life, and from a, whether you're his spouse or the mother of his children or whatever. Like, yes, all of those things may be firing on 100, but that can be detached from his actual physical attraction to you, what his eyes see when they fall upon you. And again, I'm using this man to woman thing, but this goes both ways. When I look at my man, I want that carnal, fleshy part of me to be like, I want him. I want him. Not just, I love how he makes me feel and I love how he treats me. I also just literally, sometimes he going from the living room to the kitchen and I'm like, That's me, y'all. I want that feeling. And I think most people want that feeling in their relationships. And let's stop acting like that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Especially, like I said, if you're judging the standard of where you were at some point.
Yes.
And I think people are understanding, kids, all these different things that come in. But if I'm judging you, not like I said, off of here's this person and here's you. If it's like this was you and here's you now, like, yes. I just am asking.
I'm just talking about you and you.
You and you, baby. That's it. But it's funny, as you said that, I put like, I still love you. Like, I wrote that down so I wouldn't forget it, because I think that's such an important part of it. I was talking to a friend of mine who said that they wanted their mother to go to therapy so that the mother could truly understand like the different things that the mother put the child through and truly understand. Because, some parents don't want to admit that they did anything wrong. She's like, I just want you to go to therapy so you can understand where I'm coming from and what I'm saying. But it's important in that to know it's like, I still love you.
Absolutely.
I love you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
I just want to be able to have a conversation and start to unpack these things. But not at all am I saying I hate you for the things that you did. I feel like you probably did the best you did with what you had and what you knew.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same as something like this, is understanding like, I love you.
I love you.
I think that there's ways that we can be more active. I think there's ways that we can eat healthier meals that could just make us healthy, just more healthy in general.
Yes.
But even if you got gain a few pounds, guess what? I still love you.
I still love you.
I'm still here.
For sure.
And
Go ahead.
And I also, like, one thing that Brie and I talked about on our Tulum trip was really leaning into the partnership of, our marriage. And truly, like, I was looking at her because I look at my wife all the time. I'm like, yo, you look good. Like, you look good. But I
look at your wife like that too.
Right. And I was just like, and I was like, I was looking at, I posted a birthday picture and people like, I was like, yo, there's people commenting on like, the thing, like even like Claudia Jordan was like, oh, your wife is so beautiful. And all these different people. And I was just like, yo, she is. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm a good looking dude myself. And I'm like, dang, like separately we are dope. But like, if we come together with things, like we could be super dope. And I think it's just important when you're in these relationships to lean into the partnership and truly letting go of any envious things, any jealousy, any selfishness, and being like, there are things that you are really great at and there are things that you are really great at. And how can we make this synergy of becoming truly one to be this ultra super powerful force? And I say that to say is that when it comes to somebody trying to do something and overcome something that's troubling for them, you have to take that same approach. We are one in this. It's not you are going through this, I'm gonna eat my Cinnabon, eat my ice cream, and do this while you are trying to diet and not eat bread and do all that stuff like that. And I'm just gonna eat it in front of your face and be like, you need to do better. It's like, no, we're in this together.
We're in this together.
So we're going to change our diet. We're going to change the way we eat. We're going to change all these different things. And Brie and I talked about that. Like, I'm on this super, like, no processed foods, like, type of thing, especially ultra processed. I've been doing a lot of research because as I'm getting older and I'm turning 30 in the next couple of weeks, I'm like, I'm seeing now the, what's the word?
Long-term effects?
Not the long-term effects, but the, what do you call it when you understand somebody's mortality, like something like I'm understanding,
Oh,
like I'm seeing people.
I get what you're saying. I
yeah,
can't think
yeah.
of the word.
I see people around me who are passing away.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen my grandmother have heart issues, things with arteries, different stuff like that, and
Yeah.
understand that those things are things that are built up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And it can start earlier, but starting now while you're young and still feeling well, this is important to take better care of your health. And, like we become tea drinkers and not coffee because I looked at different parts of the world and what they eat and like how they live longer and don't have heart issues versus what we do here in America. And it's just like, just different things. And Brie and I decided to come together and just, okay, this is what we're going to do as a couple. We're going to drink tea instead of coffee. We're not going to eat ultra processed foods like cereals and all this stuff like that to where it's made in a factory. We're going to try to eat, food that comes from the ground or things that you can see. That's a chicken. That's a fish. That's a shrimp. Like versus like, what is a fruit snack really?
Right.
Don't
Definitely
can't
not real
identify
food.
that like out in nature anywhere,
No,
right?
no.
So it's like us coming. My point is that just coming together to solve these problems is so important, and not leaving your partner out on a branch all by themselves.
Absolutely. Making it a them problem instead of an us problem. And you talked about earlier, like things that have an impact on your ability to be as active or to be as fit, things just that happen that you have no control over getting older. You have control over what you do with getting older, but you're going to get older whether you want to or not.
Yes.
And then she's talked about being 50. And then she also says she's experiencing menopause. Also something that you can't control. My mother went through it. My aunt went through it. So many women, every woman that I know that's older has experienced that. And it is a lot of things that happen. I don't know anyone that went through menopause like unscathed, that didn't like have some of the symptoms. I'm sure you could probably guess that one of the symptoms of menopause is weight gain. And I don't know this woman's, makeup. I don't know if she's experiencing rapid amount of weight gain because of menopause. I don't know what her arms were like, his specific issue with her arms. I don't know what her arms were like when they first got together 2.5 years ago, but I'm going to assume that it's probably not, it's bigger than what it once was. And so when you have these factors that you can't control, I think grace is obviously needed for that, because menopause is a season. It will pass. You will get on the other side of it. But I do hope that he does have room and grace for some of these things, but I'm sure a part of it is just also because of potentially decisions. And she says she's been trying very hard to get the body that he wants. That piece of it was a little concerning to me because yes, attraction matters. Yes, you making sure that you look good to be attractive to your partner is important. But really, is it the body that you want? Is it something that you also want? Because like what Dre just said, what you just said is that this is a you and Bree thing. You're doing it because you both want to do it, not just because it's your plan or it's her plan and you just getting on board with it. It's something that you both want. If you've been really working, truly working, because there are times where I'm trying to lose weight and I'm trying to get better, and it's times where I'm trying slightly to do it and when I'm really putting all of my efforts into it. So be honest with yourself about if you're really like doing all that you can. Weight loss and weight management is so tricky, and there's no one way to do it because there are other factors, like how a 25-year-old gets into shape and how a 50-year-old gets into shape. Probably two very different things. How a person who is a laborer, who works all day long with their hands and their body, how they can stay in shape or lose weight is going to be different than a person who has more of a sedentary job. How you eat, how your body digests things. If you have other medical issues, you may not be able to be keto or, a protein focused diet. You may have to have a totally different game plan for how you lose. It's important for you to figure out if you're doing everything you can and it's still not working, that maybe what you're doing does not work for you. You may have to get with a professional, a nutritionist, a medical professional who can say, okay, here's what it is. I know people who had to get surgery because they had fibroids or different things that they thought this belly that I have is because I can't just lose the weight and I'm doing the crunches and I'm eating good. But it was really something inside of their body that was working against them. So I would say just look into that and make sure that this is something that you want too, that you're just not doing this just to satisfy him, just to please him. You also want smaller arms. You also want to be more fit and more in shape, because psychologically, weight loss starts in your head. It starts in your mind. If you are only doing this for him, you may not do it because you're just trying to please him, and then he's not being pleased. And then you're like, you feel defeated. But when I'm in the gym and I'm doing it for me, I work out different. I'm not gonna lie. My motivation is different because I want to feel good. I want to look good. I want to live longer. I want my mortality to be something that I'm really proud of. You know, my process towards mortality to be something I'm proud of. So I just want her to want it too. And I want her to look into other alternatives if everything you're doing is not actually working for you. I get it. Listen, I get it very much. I'm on a plan myself right now because, like you said, I'm getting older, and I wish I would have started sooner, of course. And I've gone back and forth, and I've lost, I think total, the maximum amount of weight that I've lost in one time is like 55 pounds. And I've kept a good deal of that off, but I've definitely gained it back. And I want to continue to go backward and stay in a place where I feel really good about myself. Not just look good, but feel good.
Yeah, no, I think it's very well said. And I think that it's just, whenever you deal with these things, and I mean, coming from my point of things, I've never dealt with weight, right? That being an issue, I always feel like, especially for athletes, either you get bigger or smaller once you finish. Like, you have all the muscle, and some people shrink. I had guys that were friends that were 300 something pounds, and then they became like 215, and I'm like, how you get so skinny? And then some people, you know, they get bigger, and it depends on a lot of different things. Genetics plays a part in it as well.
Yeah.
But I just think everyone should live an active lifestyle, right?
Yes.
These things that we're talking about, there are people who are just gun-ho, gym every day, running on the treadmill type things. And it's like, that's not the normal person. Just live an active lifestyle. Walk, you know, every day. You know, if you have an office and there's somewhere you need to go, instead of taking the elevator, just take the flight of stairs down. There's just different things you could do. And like I said, the diet thing, which is one of the most important things when it comes to food, like I said, for me, is just understanding what truly contributes to an unhealthy lifestyle. And I think just, like I say, just cutting out, and I don't want this to be a nutritionist podcast, but just cutting out processed foods, I'm trying to tell you guys, is like it's a big thing. It's like these foods that are made in factories, like, are not truly the foods that we should be eating. If you take, you know, the fishes, the chickens, kale, spinach, like the things that you can actually see, you know where they come, you know where they grow from, you'll see a huge, you know, change in your health and even how you feel, your energy and all that stuff like that. Because I understand that people have different genetics, you know, everybody's body type is different. So with that, like you said, it concerns me that it's about the body that he wants. That is the one thing that does really concern me. And to answer her question, I think it's more just asking him to truly define what he wants. And what he's looking for from you. Ask him, is he willing to support you in this journey that you're trying to create? Because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, like, I want you to lose this weight. If that means you got to run on the treadmill every day for an hour. And it's like, listen, man, I'm 50. It's not realistic. I can walk around the neighborhood. I can clean up the stuff that I'm eating. But if you want me to get on a treadmill and sprint wearing them trash bag suits and like sweating every single day, like, it's just not happening. Like, it's not a reality. So I think that before you step away, just ask them truly to define what that means. And then also, I mean, y'all been together for 2.5 years. Unless you have completely let yourself go from the time that you've been together, like, I can't imagine that it's that much of a difference from, it could be, I don't know. But I don't know if it's, you know, I hope it's not that much of a difference from, you know, the 2 years that you guys have been together, so much that he's saying already being with you for 2 years that he don't know if he can move forward if you are at the weight that you're at. But if the man has been a good man to you, has been kind, has been sweet, has been loving, and he's sharing these things in a way that is constructive, don't be angry at him or mad at him for pointing out something that he's expressing, because it's like, it's never a good feeling. I don't know. It's just a thing of like it may be her characterization of it, but saying that he hates my big arms. I don't know what he's saying to make her think that like he hates it.
Yes.
Because that's such a strong word,
it is
right?
A very strong word.
Hate doesn't feel like there's any give in hate.
Mm-hmm.
Unsatisfied, maybe there's a little give. Disappointed in how I've been working out or how active I've been, seems like there's some wiggle room. But hate just seems so like, I'm done. Like, I don't like it.
And I get so leery sometimes of reading between lines, right? Because I think that's a problem with what happens a lot, and all the things we've talked about in this episode. You start to try to put a story together to paint a narrative. But if I did that just slightly in this story, I know you said the relationship is great otherwise, and he hates your big arms, like you just said. Gaining weight in general isn't only going to attack one part of your body. So it would be really difficult to gain weight and it only go to your arms. Like that would be, unless again, you're like bulking. So this is muscle. This isn't necessarily like fat. Maybe your arms were already of a certain size, and because you put on some weight, everything tends to get bigger. Your face, your legs, your hands, your ankles, like everything gets chunkier when you're gaining weight. So it's like you said, I don't like that there's no give there. I think maybe even like what Dre and Bree are doing, is he supporting what you're doing? Is he participatory? Like, is he doing it with you? Is he giving you some tips? Is he fit? And if so, like, what strategies does he use?
That's the whole other question. That's
you know
a whole
what I'm saying?
Other
like
problem.
That's like going in between the lines
when your
of
partner
like
telling you need to get it together, and they
not together. Yes, they not together. And I mean, I think there's room for that, because maybe you are okay with them not being together, but they're not okay with you not being together. I don't know, but there are just some questions to push back here and really have conversations to determine if there is a future. Because if it's not, you're 50. I don't know how old he is, but if this is not going to be moving into something more serious, and it sounds like that's something that you both want, at 50 years old, I just wouldn't, not to rush you or anything, but 2.5 years when you are 50 years old in a relationship is a good amount of time to determine if we're going to the next step. If your weight, your arms, and all these things aren't doing it for my guy, then I don't know. I'm not saying give up on the relationship at all. Like Dre said, I just think there's room for more conversation around it and to figure out exactly what he wants. And more importantly, since we're talking to you, for you to figure out exactly what you want. What do you want for your body, and what do you want for your relationship? So good luck to you both.
For sure.
Blessings. And before we get out of here, before I do all my normal stuff, I do want to shout out one of our real lovers who got engaged recently. She is a faithful listener of the show. Courtney, congratulations.
Shout out Courtney.
She got proposed to in Paris. We were there at the same time. I think she got proposed to the day before I arrived. So happy for you. Very, very, very happy for you.
At the altar in your wages. We ain't getting no younger, so you might as well do it. Feeling you all the world, I must cover.
Wait, what?
Let's get married.
Shout out to Jagged Edge. Ooh, I love them. And I mean, the real kind of had a crush on Brian and everything. But yeah, shout out to you. Congratulations.
Shout out.
Thank you, Sherry, for writing in. If you want to write in, you know where to find us, relationshiprestore.com. Click the contact button and write into any of the shows.
Yes.
Follow me on social media at Ronnie Cates.
As Dre Smith.
And at Relationship Restore. And don't forget, go check out the registration for the event November 9th. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Peace.